The sound of silver against steel sang through the pre-dawn silence. Maya Chen's hands moved with practiced precision, shaping delicate wire into the curve of a dragon's tail. 5:47 a.m. The same time every morning for 3 years. The single lamp above her workbench cast harsh shadows across her mother's old workshop, illuminating the fine dust of metal shavings that coated everything like frost. The scent of solder smoke mixed with jasmine incense from the small altar in the corner. Her mother's photograph surrounded by oranges and burning sticks that filled the cramped space with ghosts. From the restaurant below, the smell of kimchi jjigae drifted up through the floorboards. Mrs. Park starting her day, preparing for the breakfast crowd. The building was waking up around her, but Maya existed in her own sealed world of silver and silence. She set down her tools and reached for the thermos of coffee she'd prepared in the dark. 3 sips, always 3, before she opened the small safe beneath the counter. Inside, bundled in a plain white envelope, sat exactly 500,000 won. Protection money. The monthly tax for existing in Gangnam's glittering heart. Maya's fingers trembled slightly as she placed the envelope on the glass display counter. 3 years since her mother's death. 3 years of this mechanical routine. 3 years of survival through invisibility. From the back room, a wet cough rattled through the thin walls. Her father. The medical bills sat in a drawer she tried not to open, growing like a tumor she couldn't cut out. His lung condition worsening, the treatments expensive, the insurance insufficient. Everything always insufficient. She returned to her bench, picking up the dragon pendant. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. Silver remembers everything you tell it, Maya. Your intention, your care, your love. It holds the truth. But what truth was she telling these days? Her hands moved without passion, creating beauty from habit rather than heart. Each piece perfect and empty, like her. The shop's antique clock chimed once. 6:30 a.m. Maya stood and walked to the window, positioning herself behind the faded curtain. She'd learned not to be visible during the collection. Invisibility was survival. Invisibility was safety. The black Genesis sedan appeared exactly on schedule, gliding to the curb like a shark. Sleek, expensive, predatory. She'd seen it so many times she could identify it by the sound of its engine alone. The driver emerged, a thick-necked man in a dark suit who never smiled, never spoke beyond the necessary courtesies. He approached the shop door, and Maya retreated to her workshop, listening to the bell chime as he entered. Footsteps, the rustle of the envelope being collected. Then silence. Maya frowned. Usually he left immediately. She risked a glance through the workshop doorway and saw him standing at the counter, unusually still, his phone pressed to his ear. Through the shop's front window, she could see the sedan. The back window, usually tinted to pure black, was rolled down just enough. A silhouette sat in the rear seat. A man, watching. Her heart kicked against her ribs. In 3 years, whoever collected the money had never stayed, never watched, never deviated from the routine. The driver ended his call and left without a word. But the sedan didn't pull away immediately. Maya counted in her head, a habit born of anxiety. 1, 2, 3, 15, 30, 47. 47 seconds the car idled at her curb, the shadow in the back seat still, focused on her shop window. On her. Then it pulled away, disappearing into Gangnam's morning traffic as if it had never existed. He's just another ghost in this city of ghosts, Maya whispered to the empty shop. But her hands were shaking as she returned to her workbench. The morning passed in its usual rhythm. A few customers, tourists mostly looking for authentic Korean jewelry they could photograph for Instagram. Maya smiled politely, made sales, wrapped purchases in tissue paper with the shop's stamp. Her mother's stamp. Chen's Silver, established 1987. Her mother had come from Shanghai as a young bride, following Maya's father to Seoul with nothing but her silversmith skills and stubborn hope. She'd built this shop from nothing, creating pieces that blended Chinese dragons with Korean phoenixes, making beauty from 2 worlds that didn't always understand each other. Maya understood that feeling intimately. By noon, her father emerged from the back room, moving slowly, each step calculated to avoid triggering the coughing. He was only 62 but looked 20 years older, his frame diminished by illness. Appa, Maya said, already preparing his tea. Green tea with honey, the only thing that soothed his throat. You should rest more. I rested all morning, he replied in Mandarin, their private language. His Korean had never lost its accent, and after her mother's death, he'd retreated further into the language of his youth. "What are you working on?" She showed him the dragon pendant. He studied it with the critical eye of a man who'd spent 40 years watching his wife create art. "Technically perfect," he said. "But where's the fire, Maya? Your mother's dragons had fire. Maybe I don't have any fire left, Appa." He touched her cheek with fingers made clumsy by medication. "Your mother had fire because she chose to, even when things were hard. Especially then." He looked around the shop, and Maya knew he was seeing ghosts too. "Don't let survival kill your art, daughter. That's not living. That's just slower dying." He retreated back to his room, leaving Maya alone with the weight of his words. She returned to her bench and picked up the silver wire, but her hands wouldn't cooperate. 3 years of mechanical motion, and suddenly her fingers forgot their purpose. The wire slipped. Her grip loosened. Muscle memory warred with a heart that had gone numb from necessity. Maya set down the tools and pressed her palms flat against the scarred wooden surface of her mother's workbench. The same bench where she'd learned her craft. The same bench where her mother had died, collapsing over an unfinished phoenix pendant, her heart giving out without warning. 3 years. 3 years of paying protection money to a ghost in a sedan. 3 years of keeping her father alive while her own fire dimmed to ash. 3 years of invisibility. Outside, soul hummed with life, deals being made, hearts being broken, empires rising and falling in the space between traffic lights. And Maya sat in her small shop, shaping silver into dragons that had forgotten how to breathe. She didn't know that across the city, in a penthouse office with floor-to-ceiling windows, Kong Min-jae was staring at a photograph on his desk. A photograph of his sister, laughing, alive, safe. And behind that photo, hidden where no one else would ever find it, was a small silver phoenix pendant on a broken chain. Unfinished. Kept like a secret. Kept like a promise. 3 weeks later, Maya was pricing a new collection of earrings when the bell above her door chimed. She looked up expecting another tourist, and found instead a man who didn't belong in her small world. He was perhaps 40, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His hair was styled with casual perfection, and his smile came easy practiced. Everything about him said money, but the kind of money that worked to look effortless. "Chen Silver?" he asked, though he was clearly reading the sign. His Korean was soul-polished, educated. "I've heard exceptional things." Maya straightened, her professional mask sliding into place. "Thank you. Can I help you find something?" He approached the display case with genuine interest, his eyes scanning the pieces with an expertise that surprised her. Most wealthy customers looked at jewelry the way they looked at stocks, calculating value, not artistry. "This dragon pendant," he said, pointing to her most recent work. "It's not just wearing fire. It's breathing it. The detail on the scales. Each one is individual. That's remarkable craftsmanship." Something in Maya's chest loosened. When was the last time someone had truly seen her work? Not admired it, not purchased it, but actually seen it? "Thank you," she said, and this time she meant it. "That's exactly what I was trying to capture. The moment before the flame. The moment of potential." He smiled wider and extended his hand. "Park Jin-woo. I'm an art dealer. I specialize in contemporary Korean artists, but I've been expanding into artisan crafts. Your work is extraordinary." Maya shook his hand, caught off guard by the warmth of his grip. "Maya-chan, this is my mother's shop. Was my mother's shop. I'm sorry for your loss." He seemed to mean it. "But she taught you well. I actually came here with a specific purpose. I'm curating a gallery opening next month. Emerging artists, traditional crafts reimagined for modern soul. I'd love to commission a custom piece from you. Something that could be the centerpiece." Her heart jumped. A commission. A real one, not just tourists buying trinkets. "Ah, yes. Yes, I'd be honored. What did you have in mind?" They bent over her sketchbook together, Jin-woo describing his vision while Maya's pencil flew across the paper. A phoenix rising from traditional Korean flames, but rendered in her style. The blend of Chinese and Korean aesthetics that made her work unique. "This is perfect," Jin-woo said, his hand resting briefly on hers as he pointed to a detail in the sketch. "You understand exactly what I'm looking for. The deposit." He pulled out his wallet and extracted a stack of bills that made Maya's eyes widen. "Will this be sufficient?" It was 3 times what she would have asked for. "That's too much," she protested automatically. That's insulting my artist, he countered with a grin. Consider it an investment. When you're famous, I'll say I discovered you. Maya found herself laughing, actual, genuine laughter that felt foreign in her throat. When was the last time she'd laughed? Really laughed, not just performed politeness? You seem confident I'll be famous, she said. I'm confident you should be. Jinwoo's eyes crinkled at the corners. Maybe you just needed someone to see you properly. The words hit deeper than he could have known. Someone to see you properly. Wasn't that what she'd been missing? Not just in her art, but in everything? The gallery opening is in 3 weeks, Jinwoo continued, pulling out a business card. But maybe before then you could. He stopped mid-sentence. Maya followed his gaze to the window. The black Genesis sedan had appeared at the curb, its brake lights flaring red in the afternoon sun. Is that? Jinwoo's tone changed, sharpened. Do you know who that is? Just someone who collects from the neighborhood shops, Maya said carefully. I see. Jinwoo's easy smile returned, but it had an edge now. Well, I should let you get back to work. Think about the commission, and call me if you have any questions. He handed her his card and left with a polite bow, but Maya noticed how his eyes tracked the sedan as he walked past it. Inside her shop, she exhaled slowly, looking at the deposit money in her hands. Maybe normal life was still possible. Maybe invisibility wasn't her only option. Maybe. The bell chimed again. This time, the man who entered stole all the oxygen from the room. He was tall, with shoulders that filled his black wool coat like architecture. His face was all sharp angles, high cheekbones, a jaw that could have been carved from stone, eyes so dark they seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. His hair was swept back from his forehead, immaculate, not a strand out of place. Everything about him radiated control, precision, power. Maya's mouth went dry. She knew that face. She'd seen it on business magazines in convenience stores, on billboards advertising luxury apartments. Kang Min-jae, real estate magnate, philanthropist, and if the internet whispers were true, so much more. Behind him, his driver stood in the doorway like a wall of muscle. Can I help you? Maya managed, her voice steadier than she felt. Min-jae didn't answer immediately. His gaze swept the shop with the same cold assessment she imagined he used on properties he was considering purchasing. Then his eyes landed on Jinwoo's business card, still lying on the counter. When he finally looked at her, truly looked at her, Maya felt pinned like a butterfly under glass. You should be more careful who you work with, he said. His voice was low, barely above a murmur, but it carried the weight of absolute authority. I'm sorry. Maya's confusion was rapidly transmuting into anger. Who was this man to walk into her shop and give her warnings? Park Jinwoo. Min-jae's eyes never left hers. The art dealer. Do you know what gallery he represents? I don't see how that's your business. Something flickered across Min-jae's face, surprise, maybe, that she'd pushed back. Most people probably didn't. From behind him, Jinwoo's voice called out cheerfully, the ghost has a voice. Maya looked past Min-jae to see Jinwoo standing just outside the door, his earlier warmth replaced with cool amusement. This district is closed to your kind, Park, Min-jae said without turning around. Your kind? Maya's anger flared hotter. What is this? Some kind of territorial dispute? This is MY shop. Both of you out. Now. Min-jae's attention swung back to her, and for the first time, she saw something besides cold calculation in his expression. Interest. Sharp and sudden, like a predator scenting blood. He took a step toward her. Then another. Maya forced herself to hold her ground, even as her heart hammered. You don't know who I am, do you? He said softly. She lifted her chin. I don't care who you are. This is my shop, and I'm telling you to leave. For a long moment, he simply stared at her. Maya couldn't read his expression. Couldn't tell if he was impressed or offended or something else entirely. His presence was overwhelming, filling every corner of her small shop like smoke. Then he reached into his coat and extracted a business card, placing it on the counter with deliberate care. When you understand what you've stumbled into, he said, call that number. He turned and walked out without another word, his driver following like a shadow. Jinwoo lingered at the threshold. Be careful, Maya sigh, he said, his earlier lightness gone. That man is dangerous. Then he too was gone, leaving Maya alone with 2 business cards and a heart that wouldn't stop racing. She picked up Min-jae's card with shaking fingers. Kang Min-jae, CEO Kang Holdings. Private number handwritten on the back. The black Genesis sedan pulled away from the curb, and Maya watched it go, recognition finally dawning like cold water down her spine. 3 years. 3 years of that sedan collecting money from her counter. 3 years of watching from behind curtains. He'd been there all along, the ghost in the back seat. And now, for the first time, he'd let himself be seen. Maya closed the shop early that evening, pulling down the metal shutters with hands that still trembled. Her father had already gone to bed, his medication making him drowsy, leaving her alone with questions that multiplied like shadows. She climbed the narrow stairs to her small apartment above the shop, the same apartment she'd grown up in, made smaller now by loss and time. The laptop on her desk was ancient, but the internet connection worked. Maya typed, Kong Min-jae. The results exploded across her screen. CEO of Kong Holdings, one of Seoul's largest real estate development companies. Philanthropist. Board member of 3 hospitals. Net worth estimated at over 200 billion won. Photographs of him at charity galas, cutting ribbons at building openings, shaking hands with politicians. But when she dug deeper, clicked past the official press releases into forums and gossip sites, the picture darkened. Kong family controls Gangnam Protection. My uncle pays them monthly. If he doesn't, inspectors find violations. Everyone knows they're Yakuza, but nobody says it out loud. The Kong syndicate has owned this district for 30 years. Maya's stomach turned to ice. The envelope. The sedan. 3 years of protection payments. To him. She'd been paying Kong Min-jae protection money for 3 years, and she'd never even known his name. No, she whispered to the empty room. No, no, no. But even as denial rose in her throat, memory stirred. Something from 2 years ago. Winter. A storm. Maya closed her eyes and let herself remember. It had been the worst winter storm in a decade, snow falling so thick it turned Seoul into a whiteout. Maya had closed the shop early, but stayed to finish inventory, the radiator barely keeping the cold at bay. The banging on the door made her jump. Through the frost-covered glass, she saw a figure, small, hunched, clearly freezing. Maya unlocked the door, and a teenage girl practically fell inside, bringing a gust of snow with her. She was maybe 16, dressed in expensive clothes that were completely inadequate for the weather. No coat, no gloves. Soaked through. Please, the girl gasped in Korean. Please, I can't, I need. She collapsed. Maya didn't think. She locked the door, helped the girl to the back room, stripped off her wet clothes and wrapped her in every blanket she owned. She made hot soup from the pantry. She gave her the bed while Maya slept in a chair. The girl's fever raged for 2 days. Maya called no one, asked no questions. Some instinct told her that whoever this girl was running from, they were scarier than a winter storm. On the 3rd day, the fever broke. I'm Soo-jin, the girl said quietly. Kong Soo-jin. You probably shouldn't have helped me. Everyone needs help sometimes, Maya had replied. Not people like me. Soo-jin's eyes were old for her age, sad in a way that broke Maya's heart. My family, they want me to marry someone. Someone terrible. I ran. Then you can stay as long as you need. But that night, while Maya slept, Soo-jin disappeared. She left only a note on the pillow. Thank you, Uni. I'll never forget you. I hope we meet again when I'm brave enough to stay. Maya had thought about her sometimes, wondered if she was safe. But she'd never known the surname's significance. Kong. Just Kong. That was his sister, Maya breathed, staring at her laptop screen.